right, what's up, Daystar Youth families? Thank you guys for joining us again tonight. 7:30 on the dot, and we'll end right at 8 o'clock. Tonight we are beginning the conversation. Again, we're going to start a conversation here that might be a little bit difficult to have in the home, but that's why we're here. We're going to start the conversation so that you guys can finish the conversation after we hop off the stream. So we're talking about how to transition out of high school well. I've got two of our upperclassmen in the youth ministry that did our 252 internship over the summer with me. So you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves.
My name is Connor Hogan. I'm a 12th grader at Northwest.
Yeah, my name is, I have many names, but my real name is Caesar. I also go by me, her, Shmisher, Cesar, depending on who you are.
That's true.
I'm a junior. I'm a junior, and I love to watch anime.
Come on, bro. Yeah, what about yourself?
I was about to say, I feel so like I didn't live up. I go to Northwest.
Right.
I like school, surprisingly.
That is
I hate online school, though, because I don't know somebody who doesn't. Can't wait to go back.
I don't.
All right. So, yeah.
That was it?
That's it.
That's all you get, people. That right there.
Yeah.
Caesar, so true. Your name, bro. It just depends on who you ask.
Thanks.
You know what I mean?
Look at that. That's one of my names, too, Bowface.
Come on.
Bowface Caesar.
Montreal. Hamid. Yo, what up, Hamid? Yo, HC, hey, so really quick, before we jump into the conversation tonight, one of the things that, we forgot one of the names.
Nephew! What's good, huh?
Coming in.
What's good, huh?
So one of the things that we want to talk about really quick is for tonight's conversation, we have some conversation starters, like some questions that you guys have given us and just throughout the week. But if anything comes up in the conversation and you want to ask some questions, throw it in the chat. We have the chat. We can see it. We can see what you guys are typing. So ask a question. We'll drop everything. We'll stop what we're doing. We'll answer your questions, and we'll have the conversation together. It'll be good. So
Calzone. That's another one of my names. Yep.
Right. How many names you got?
Dude, I have
Too
so
many.
many.
Golly. Wow. All right. So here we go. Y'all ready to start this? We got 30 minutes.
All right, bet.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
We got 27 and a half minutes.
Oh, yeah.
That time management is going to be on point.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so first question in general, as we're talking about the topic of leaving high school, transitioning well into college.
Right.
I think the first thing we got to talk about to start the conversation is how do you guys feel just about the idea in general? Like stepping out of high school into college, like Caesar, you first. What's the feeling?
I'm excited.
Okay.
I'm excited. New people. It's very exciting. A lot of new opportunities.
Right.
But mainly it's just the people. I love people. I love meeting new people. So that's the main thing. And it's also scary at the same time.
Wait, you mean you're a people person?
It's also
Highlands College, right?
Yeah,
potentially.
Maybe.
Yeah,
potentially.
Right.
Yeah.
Prospect.
That's
good.
Yeah, but it's also scary at the same time, especially if you're going like to another state or some other place, because you're leaving your family, your friends, everything you've ever knew here, and then going to a new place and discovering yourself, and it's all sorts of like emotions and stuff. But
yeah, sure. Yeah, I feel like that's it's so quick that often like you don't pause to process the emotions. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, one day I'm going to graduate. Then you graduate and you're like, wait, what just happened?
Right.
It's like, I got to figure out what I'm doing in my life.
Right.
So what about you?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about it, but at the same time, I feel like I'm really overwhelmed with intimidation. Losing all the community I have here, and going to rebuild a new community, find new people, which is exciting, but at the same time, it's like I don't know any of these people.
Yeah.
So it's having to rebuild this community that I've worked so hard for, at a completely different place where I don't know anybody.
Right. Yeah.
It's really, really intimidating.
Yeah,
Right.
no, that's good. I mean, that's the real part of the conversation. It can be very tough, especially like I know you, and I know like your transition into this youth ministry, and like the work that you've done to dig your roots so deep into the community that's here. You stepping out of that, it almost feels like, man, like I just did all that work for all these years, and then like, what am I stepping into?
Right.
I got to do it all over again.
Right.
That's for sure intimidating.
Yeah.
Now, people like you, it might be exciting. It's like I get to dig roots again. But dude, I'm the same way. Like, I'm like if there's the real people in my life that I'm going to connect with, I'm going to dig those roots as deep as I can. And then if I have to uproot that, it's going to be painful.
Yeah.
That's just a real part of it that we got to talk about. So
Right.
no, it's good. Let's see. Okay, so question number 2. Yo, it's so good. Yo, BP small group.
Yes, sir. BP small group.
Showing up strong.
A-Dog,
every
Bro,
single week.
Caleb, Trey. We
Amira,
got
what's up, Amira?
Evan McIntyre. Caleb Claude, what's up? Madison, what's up? Amira, what's up?
All the Andrews.
Waffle House later tonight. That's after
God.
this.
Yo, look, let's just say if you get another text from Caesar at 3 a.m. inviting you to Waffle House, don't go, because he's not going to be there. Okay? He won't be there. John, what's up, John?
Oh, yeah!
All right,
That's
okay.
good.
Here we go. So second question. Second question is, it's kind of bouncing off that first question, because, we talked about just the idea of leaving in general.
Right.
You both hit on it, but specifically your family. Like, what is that? Are you excited for that? Like, leaving your family? Like, what does that look like?
I'm excited and it's like the same thing as earlier. I'm very excited, but at the same time I'm scared because my family's my family. Like after a day at church, I go to my family. I have a bed, I have a warm meal. But when I go somewhere else,
You're missing all that free food.
Facts, the free food.
Right.
Bro, I'm gonna have to be cooking, and I'm gonna have to be doing everything else.
Ramen noodles.
For real. For real. So it's kind of like coming out of a cocoon and you like becoming a butterfly, kind of like that.
It's a good analogy.
But yeah, it's pretty much like that,
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about you?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about it. I'm very adventurous. I love new things, but at the same time, it's like that's going to be a part of my life that I don't have anymore, and I'm going to have to learn to feel that on my own.
Right.
My mom, she's done everything for me. She's been my everything for the last 17 years. And, not having that in my life for 2, 4, 6, or 8 years.
Right.
I mean, it's like what's that going to look like?
Right.
And I'm excited to.
What you gonna do with all that laundry?
Right. I don't even know how to do my laundry, like.
We'll pray for you, right?
Yeah, right now. No, but I'm excited about it. But it's kind of an intimidating feat that I'm gonna have to conquer.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's definitely okay to be excited about not having that.
For sure.
Right. Yeah.
It's very healthy, but it still is intimidating.
Yeah. No, you bring up such a good point. Like, it's okay to feel that way.
Oh, yeah.
We were talking about it a little bit before, and spread them wings and fly, bro. Come on. So, yo, what's up, Tyrone?
Yo,
There he
what's good,
is.
Rome?
So one of the things that I think would be really good for us to just kind of talk to the camera real quick is just like, there's probably some parents watching, and I bet there's some parents that maybe their kids have gone to college and they can relate to this, or their kids are going to college and they're kind of nervous about it. But the idea of your kid leaving the house, like y'all said it. So this isn't just something I'm thinking, oh, this would be something cool to say. Like, y'all said it before, that if you're excited to leave the house, a lot of parents might be like, man, why are they so excited to get away from me? Kind of thing. It's like they're so excited to leave, and I've just been caring for them and all this stuff.
Right.
But at the end of the day, what that really communicates is that, like you just said, your mom's been your everything for 17 years. You know what I mean? And I know your home situation, and it's like your mom has done so much to overcome obstacles and to help you be the man that you are today, and the leader in our youth ministry that you are today. Same thing for you. And that, like, you guys being excited to take on the world and to feel equipped and empowered and strong enough to go and do what God's calling you to do, like, if anything, that's a pat on the parents' back to say, like, you've done a great job.
Right.
And it's not a bad thing for your students to be excited to leave the home. It's exciting. It's probably scary for parents also, obviously. Like, my baby's going out, like, what's going to happen? It's crazy. But you're right. It's a good thing. It's a great thing. It's a healthy thing to feel that way. And I don't think parents, if anything, parents should feel encouraged to know that their students are that well equipped. I mean, that's awesome. So that's good.
Facts.
All right. Any other thoughts about that before we jump to the next question? Did I miss a question? I haven't seen any questions so far. If you've got questions, throw in a question. Have I missed any questions?
No.
Okay, all right, here we go.
Sure.
Okay, so this one, I'm going to ask you a little bit different. I wrote down, do you feel like, but I know you feel this. So I'm just going to ask it this way. How are you dealing with the feeling of, I feel like I have to figure out my whole life right now? Like junior, senior. Junior is like, people are like, wait, you haven't gotten accepted into college yet?
Right.
You don't know what your major is going to be? And I'm like, bro, chill out. You know what I'm saying?
Like, why do a college?
Like you're, it's going to be all right.
Right.
So how do you handle that pressure? And let's just be honest. We just talked about the family thing.
Yeah.
A lot of that pressure sometimes can come from parents of like, hey kid, you need to get a job. Like, you need to figure out what you're doing. Just quit being lazy, quit playing the video games, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, how do you deal with that pressure? Do you feel like you've handled it well? Do you feel like you've not? Are you handling it well currently? What's that look like for you guys?
Well, I feel like in the dang. I feel like in the past I haven't, like, probably till a couple months ago, my whole like life goal was to make my parents proud, get money, get rich, big house, family. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But like now I'm starting to rethink things. You know, I was saying this earlier, or you said this. You've said this a lot of times. Like, society puts this pressure on us to like perform and like to know what we're gonna do. When like pretty much like I'm still 16. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I have no idea what I'm gonna do.
Right.
And one thing that really helped me was you know, going back to the Bible, Jesus from what did I say? Oh yeah. From 12 years old to 30 years old, all Jesus did was grow.
Come on.
Yeah, in the
Come on.
Luke 2:52.
Oh, preach.
The whole verse that's in the internship. Yeah. Facts.
You know that thing we do over the summer for 8 weeks? Like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I forgot exactly, but Jesus grew in stature with God, or favor with man, favor with God, wisdom, and stature, right?
Right.
So,
Come on. You
something
got
like
it.
that,
yes,
right?
Sir.
Yeah, and so really, all we need to be doing right now is growing. We don't need to like really know our calling until 30, you know. But right now, all we really should be doing is growing. And you know, there's this pressure to perform. Like, I'm not gonna act like it's not there, because it is. You know, from society, from our parents, families, friends. You know, so just know that God's will. Chris talked about this in 252. God's will is more about the journey and not the destination. So like, okay, I don't want to go on and stuff.
Sure.
But
No,
like,
because what you're saying, it sounds like what you're saying is that you want to be more concerned with who you're becoming than what you do one day.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's great. That's a great spot to be in. That's awesome. What about you, Connor?
I mean, I think, you know, just embracing it. I mean, it's there whether you want to admit it or not.
Right.
I mean,
Just bottle it away.
Exactly.
Don't
Just-
ever talk
just
about
don't
it.
talk about it. You know,
Suppress it.
Don't
Right.
get help.
Suppress all emotions.
Suppress the emotion.
No, but I mean,
Someone
if you
just
ignore
click
it, you know, when you know the head hits the nail, it's going to be worse than if you embrace it.
Right.
If you learn to accept it and just learn from it and grow from your mistakes, you know you're going to mess up, but you're going to be perfectly fine.
Right.
You know, if you bottle it up and try and ignore it and pretend it's not there, you know, when something does happen, you're not going to know how to deal with that because you haven't learned to grow in that area.
Right.
You haven't begun to search for answers in that. You know, I'm 17, you're 16. We don't have the answers to everything.
Right.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
And admitting that and being okay with that, but searching for those answers, I feel like that's where a lot of people overlook. It's like you don't have the answers.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you shouldn't go find them.
That's good.
And so, I think for me it was just embracing it and acknowledging it, knowing it's there, being aware of it, and not trying to lie to myself, and thinking that I'm any different from anybody else.
Man, that's the truth, bro. Just because you don't know the answer to that question doesn't mean that you're behind or something. Like, what that means is that, like, okay, you're beginning the journey of recognizing and starting to figure out, God, what have you called me to? Like, what is my calling in life, kind of thing, and just starting that journey and knowing that it's not going to be the answer tomorrow. I'm not going to figure that out in a day.
Right.
You might. More power to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might have a Damascus Road type experience like Paul did, but at the end of the day, the truth is that even Paul had a journey ahead of him, and so we got to figure that out. But, I think that's so good. One of the things that I hear is kind of like an underlying truth to all the things that you're saying is that you've got to recognize it, but for you, in recognizing it, it has given you, like, grace for yourself. Like, I recognize this is going to be a journey.
Right.
So it's okay if I don't know the answer right now. Like, I know that I've got people that I can talk to. I know that I've got mentors in my life speaking into me. My parents are healthy and they're helping me along this journey.
Right.
Like, that's a great healthy spot to be in for sure.
Right.
So we got some people commenting. Let's say Nathan. I think it's really scary, especially now, with how much of a problem student loan debt is. It feels like you can't afford to mess up or find yourself, or it'll ruin you for a long time.
Wow, that's fact.
Wow.
Progress, not perfection. That's big.
Yeah.
Dude, that is so true. Like, that is so true. It's not just the idea of like, oh yeah, student loan debt,
right,
and that's going to hinder me. But what he's saying is so true is that there's a fear of like, you can't find yourself, you can't mess up,
right?
Because like my brother, for example, he was in school for like 6 or 7 years in the University of Alabama, down Alabama. And he changed his major a few times to stay in that long, and now he's racked up all this school debt. And it's very difficult to pay all that off because he was in a time where he was just figuring it out. He honestly did not know, like, I don't know what to do. Like, so let me ask this question then. Because, Nathan, that's such a good point. What's the best advice so far, maybe from your parents, maybe from conversations that we've had or somebody else has had with you in leadership in your life? Like, what's the best advice that you've had to just navigate that? Like, what's that been like for you guys?
Mess up.
Just mess up? Okay.
I mean, you're going to learn a lot more from messing up, making mistakes, and fixing those than you will from, winning everything.
Yep.
I mean, growing comes from failure. If you're not messing up, you're not knowing what's wrong and, what you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
And so, like he said, it's like you can't afford to mess up or find yourself. It's like, well, if you mess up, you're going to know not to do that next time. If you just go through your journey and, you're not hitting any obstacles, you're not growing.
Right.
So I think a really big thing for me is just being okay with messing up. It sucks in the moment, but at the end of the day, you're growing from that.
Yeah.
Facts. It's good. There's a quote by Albert Einstein.
Oh, come on, bro.
Don't ask me with this. It was I made my Facebook when I was like 12 years old, and then I put it as my like little caption thing. And he said, a person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. So like piggybacking off of what you said, failure is a part of success, and you got to learn from your mistakes and you got to grow from them.
Come on.
So just like earlier, all we really can do is grow. And also what Connor was saying, you need to have grace on yourself, because like I feel like when you do mess up, there's not enough. People don't really have grace on themselves.
Right.
So like all those things, just knowing that everyone like messes up, and like no one's perfect, but you got to grow from your mistakes nonetheless.
Yeah,
sure.
And I think to what Nathan's saying, like if you pair what Nathan said with what you guys said, kind of like the wisdom piece that I'm pulling out of all that stuff that I'm just hearing from you guys, is that it would help a lot of students right now to just understand that, like, let's say that you've got a student who has no clue where he wants to go. Then in that sense, for me, and it's all case-by-case scenario, obviously, and, parents' help obviously plays into a lot of that. Like I've paid my way through school and still am, and, all that. Some parents, though, they just dishing it out, and they're like, you can go wherever you want. And that's great. It's great if you get that cash, but for some people, it's like if you're in a position where you don't know what you want to do,
right,
and you're so lost, and you have not given yourself the time maybe to process those emotions or to figure out, like, hey, what's going on? Like, where do I want to go one day? Then the best thing to do probably is to go to a school that probably is local, where you can continue in the community that you've got, to go to a school that's local, that you have a scholarship to, or that you can get a scholarship to, and not say, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do, so I think that I'm just going to go try to be like a neurosurgeon and spend like $200,000 on a school when it turns out you hate it.
Right.
Like, that would not be great, you know? So, and at the end of the day, the biggest thing that I hear you saying is to understand, like, I will mess up.
Yeah.
I am going to mess up in this journey somehow. It's not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
But in my messing up, I need to understand that God speaks through wisdom, and he speaks through my authority in my life.
Yeah.
So when I'm deciding how am I going to get from this school to this school, from high school to this college, or from high school to figure out what I'm going to do with my life, the end goal really should be, I want to get the right people around me speaking into this situation to help me make the most God-honoring, parent-honoring, spiritual authority-honoring decision, right? It's like God's gonna help you along the way. I guarantee you, if you have the right people speaking into your life, if you say, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I think I'll spend $200,000 to go to be a doctor, they're going to tell you that's dumb. Like, don't do that, you know? And it'll really help you as you make that decision. A lot of people that, and this is just truth, this is just being a pastor, I had in our age group, right? So being a youth pastor and just working with Next Gen, I've seen people make this decision and really regret it later on. And in every single one of those cases, and I'm trying to be as honest as I can, in every single one of those cases that come to mind, every single one of those cases, they made that decision by themselves. They came up with the idea one day, said, that's going to be a great idea, I'm just going to go do that. And they didn't allow anybody to speak into it. And really, what that shows is a big piece of immaturity, not allowing voices to speak into your life, and recognizing that you might not be on the right goal there. Like you might need to tweak it a little bit. And if you want to do that, maybe that's great, but let's do this first and get that later kind of thing when you're actually sure. There's all kinds of different ways you can go about that.
Right.
No, it's good. Emily Rose, come on. She said, I think it is important to understand that it doesn't matter what school you go to, but it matters how God is going to use you while you're there.
Come on, somebody.
Come on, girl. Preach. Let's go.
Oh.
Grace writes, so it took me forever to find the chat, but you guys are dropping some big facts. Yes, we are. Let's see. Walk away from your mess ups. Invest in them. God will walk through you every step of the way.
Come on, God.
Yeah, that's so good. I mean,
trees, facts.
all that basically.
Right.
Yo, she is speaking straight up truth. That's true.
Facts.
Good decisions and bad decisions. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, hey, come on, wife. Let's go.
There was something that I think it was Myra said further up. She said, invest in your mess ups.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important because
That's
it's
awesome.
like, if you ignore it, you're not going to be able to grow from it.
Right.
But if you mess up, you have to see that and acknowledge it.
Right.
And really intentionally grow from it rather than saying, oh, well, let's see what this is going to do.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so true.
You have to acknowledge that mess up. So that was really good.
Yeah, it's good. And kind of what, like, even what Michaela said, like, good and bad decisions, like, God uses it. It's like, at the end of the day, like, let's say that some people are watching and, like, they are in that position. They're like, man, I did this and I wish I did not. And, like, now I'm just like, well, all my future's gone kind of thing. It's like, you've racked up all this school debt. At the end of the day, like, Romans 8:28 is still true. Like, God uses everything.
Oh,
Doesn't matter if it's good, bad, ugly, like, whatever. God uses everything for the good of those that are what is it? That love Him or are called according to His purpose. I was like, blah, blah, blah. So if that's true for you, God's working things in your life to get you from A to B.
Right.
Now there's a piece of that where understanding. Somebody told me this one time, and I can't remember who said it, but it was so good. So whoever's out there that said this, props to you. But said that wisdom can best be described as the most efficient way to get from A to B.
Mm-hmm.
So wisdom, as far as where you are to where God wants you to be, wisdom is the most efficient way to get from A to B. Mm. And I was like, that is so good.
Sounds like something Ira would say.
yeah, you're right. I thought you were about to say that I would say, like you. And I was like, all right, Caesar.
Something Jeff said, college isn't for everyone. That's so true. I mean, like, you don't have to go to college to be a great person, to be successful, any of that.
I know tons of people right now that are doing like work internships with like HVAC and a lot of trade schools, and are going straight into like $60,000 a year careers. It's like you wouldn't traditionally think that that's the right way to get there, but there's all kinds of alternatives. So Jeff, that's a great point for sure.
Right.
Yeah, that's great.
Caesar, did you just grab a bug?
No, I grabbed like this thing that was just floating. I don't know what it was.
Madison is real worried that you grabbed a bug.
The 3 question marks.
Okay, so we've got 6 minutes left. So I'm gonna talk about one other question real quick, and that is, how can your parents, like if you are encouraging the students right now, and you're talking to students, then you understand that they're talking with their parents in their homes right now. How can your parents best help you in this season as you're trying to figure out how do I transition into college?
I would say to the parents, showing your kids grace, like, because we're still learning. We're still young pupils. we're still learning it and everything. Especially now with online school.
Right.
Some kids learn differently, so I think grace would be one of the main things. Grace and love, from parents to their students.
That's awesome.
I think giving the kid independency, because we're in that transitional stage where it's like we're discovering new things, and we have these different aspects of our life that aren't the same as they were last year or 2 years ago, and if those are being restricted, and if the parents saying okay, well, I'm gonna hide this from my kid, I'm not gonna let them know this is a thing until they're in the real world, and they're not going to know how to deal with it when they get into the real world. So I think, just acknowledging that the kid is transitioning, they are going into a new area of their life, and it's much different from, being in 8th grade, being in 9th grade, and just allowing them to, experience that on their own, rather than, forcefully having that be something that the parent wants them to avoid.
Right.
I think that's
trying to baby and protect.
I think that's really big. Yeah, not shelter the kid. Because the real world is the real world.
Yeah.
And that's for everybody. Yeah. Nobody's special. You get the real world eventually. And if you don't, get little bits and parts of it here and there, you're not going to know.
When you step into it, it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks.
It's going to be like a truck. You're not going to know how to deal with anything. So.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, when I think about like my idea, like when I think about that idea of like my experience as a kid, when I went through high school transitioning into college, I think one of the things that helped me the most is my parents, they started doing something that I don't think I realized until like just now, like how much it impacted me in that process, but they started asking my opinion on things. So like simple and practical, but what that told me is that in my mind, like in my mind right now, a kid is a kid where like they'll say things, they'll notice things, and you're like, oh, that's cute, like whatever. It's like you think you have an idea or something, but then when you really start to value what I say and you think that I can add to whatever the topic is, or whatever, it's like if you ask my opinion, and maybe even that's great, like thinking about your kid and getting them from A to B, like where do you want to go, what do you want to do, asking them their opinions on things instead of saying like, oh, well, you shouldn't worry about that, or oh, like just kind of like babying it down, or lowering the importance of the conversation, to actually ask like, hey, what do you think, like you want to go into this industry, so tell me your opinion, like why do you think you want to do that, like where do you think that industry is going to be in 10 years, what's the reason you want to go there, and letting me speak into it will help start a conversation instead of just a you shouldn't do that. It'll help me start a conversation where I can verbally process and figure out in that conversation, maybe it is the right decision, maybe it's not. So yeah, it's good.
Natalies is guide, don't control. That's huge.
That's
really
great.
Big. Don't live through your kids.
Pray with them and over them. Come on, man, that's so good. Just praying with your kids. Like I think as a parent, gosh, Natalie, that is so good. Like think about it. If you're a parent and you understand that your kid's having a lot of difficulty making a decision, then me as a parent, the best thing I can do in that moment is to not say like, oh, you shouldn't be worried about that because it's not that big of a deal, or saying like, oh, you should have it figured out. To get on their level and to say, you know what, I recognize that that's a big deal, and so let's pray about it right now. Let's figure out how to do it together, kind of thing. So we'll have to wrap up the conversation here. We have 2 minutes. Actually, I have like a minute and a half. So one thing that I want to tell you guys really quick is as we're talking about this going into high school or going into college from high school, one of the things that I want to see as a youth pastor for every single student is for you guys to be rooted and in love with the local church, to the body of believers that God and Jesus has called you to be in love with that, so that wherever you go, you're not just in love with this youth ministry, but you're in love with the local church, and you'll go get plugged into a church there wherever you go. I think that's so important. And one of the ways that we're helping all students do that this semester is that we're not just saying, hey, COVID's happening, so we're not doing anything. We're doing these nights and we're doing small groups and stuff throughout the week. But one of the things that we're doing that is so important for you to get your student involved in this semester, in 4 weeks, the first weekend of November 6th and 7th, we have a weekend experience called Oasis. And the whole experience, like we have out-of-town speakers coming in, and we have all this stuff planned for this amazing experience, like house-to-house competitions and stuff. It's going to be great. But it's going to be a live-streamed event from this studio out to homes, and we'll have sessions from this studio out to homes. We'll have 3 if more students sign up and we need to add another location. We'll add a 4th location, but we have host homes that are going to act as host locations for this event. And if you want your student to be involved, the registration is actually in the link of this video. You can go and you can register your student. It's absolutely free, and the goal of that entire weekend is to help your student experience life-giving relationships, not just to tell them, hey, this is good and you should experience it, but to actually create an environment in a home where they can experience it, and then go back to their schools and their homes and their situations in the spring, and to actually be a life-giving source to whatever that situation is. Yeah, it's going to be super fun, super exciting.
Thanks.
We're all going to be there, so you should be there. Get signed up. Other than that, we have no other news, I don't think, so we'll see you guys next week, 7:30, same time, same place.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see you next time.